Fear of rejection again. Here's another thing that you can do. It's another one of the tools out of my toolkit. Okay, so we're much more likely to feel rejection when we are being negative towards somebody else. We're much less likely to feel rejection when we have a positive engagement with that person. Now, I've noticed that a lot of people tend to go straight in on the negatives when they're in a sales meeting or on a sales call, because that's what you're trying to sell. You're trying to say to somebody, you're selling a website, you're trying to say to somebody, look, you've got all these problems with your website and I can solve those problems, and this is your sales pitch, okay? And that's fine, and maybe that makes sense. But what I would much prefer that people do, and especially if you've got an issue with that rejection, is to, when you sit down with somebody, let's look at the positives first, okay? Let's look at what's great about your website. And when you do that, you start to build a much better rapport with the person, and it kind of gives you permission then to start to look at the negatives in a nice way, okay? So you could say to somebody, oh, look, I really like the look of your website. I love the design, and you've got this and you've got that, and you've got all your social media connected, and it's ranking pretty well for this term in your local area. But it's a couple of things I think that maybe could be improved upon. See this term over here, you don't rank for that at all, for example. That could bring you X amount of business. And then you see you don't have any lead generation on your homepage, for example. And if you did that, you'd be able to generate more leads and therefore generate more sales, etc., etc. So, but we've started off by talking to them about how great their website is, right? So I used to work in the hotel business, and one of the things that used to drive me crazy is whenever we get a new chef, he would come in and he would criticize everything that the previous chef had done. Everything he'd done was shit, right? Everything on his menu was shit, and it all had to change, right? And that's just not a great start. So let's start with being positive at the beginning. So if you walk into that kitchen and you're the chef, let's look at the menu and say, oh, there's some really interesting things here, but here's some things that I can improve. Okay, so let's take that approach. And again, we're trying to grow our businesses, and by making this thing easier for ourselves, by making these conversations easier, we'll do more of them, right? And when we do more of them, our business grows. Okay, so let's try and have positive conversations with people, point out the good things before we look at what can be improved.